The first bye round of 2023 is in the books, and now we've got to do our tipping, not knowing what the bloody hell is going on with which Origin players are going to back up, especially with the teams that are having Origin players for the very first time. So we're going to try our best. Round 14, let's get straight into these tips. As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because you gotta love your rugby league. I'll drop your round 14 tips down below, and let's get straight into the first game. So round 14 kicks off with the West Tigers hosting the Canberra Raiders out there at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. The first game for the Tigers after having the bye last week since their huge win over the North Queensland Cowboys. But I'm sorry, Tigers fans, I am going to tip the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders, I like them at the moment. I know they suffered that really big loss to Manly, but outside of that, since that big loss to the Penrith Panthers, they have been probably the form team of the competition. I think they're tied on top of the ladder, or at least one win behind. They've still got Jack White, they've still got Josh Papali'i and Joe Tapine. So a lot of their key players aren't involved in the Origin period. I think if Api Koroisau plays big minutes, we probably won't see him back up. Even if he does, I just think the Canberra Raiders have too much strike power, especially out wide. And if their forwards can do what they did to the Rabbitohs and the West Tigers, could be in for a bad night. The first game on Saturday sees the Warriors hoping to bounce back, still in New Zealand, up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins picked up a very good win last weekend over the Dragons. I think it is likely that the Hammer and Tommy Gilbert will both back up. In saying that, I've got no idea what Wayne Bennett's got planned. Either way, though, I'm going to tip the Warriors. The Warriors, I feel like, aren't the same team that we've seen in previous years. But we saw a bit of that last week, but I think Andrew Webster will want to rectify that this week. So I'm going to tip the Warriors. Just 1-12. It'll be a close game. I just feel like them being back in New Zealand, even though they were there last week, gives them the edge. But at least they're back at Auckland. The middle game, the Titans, they're hosting the Bunnies, who are trying to break this losing streak for the Bunnies. No Latrell Mitchell. It'll be interesting to see if Cameron Murray backs up from Origin. In saying that, the Rabbitohs are just going to have too much class for the Titans, in my opinion, close to full strength once again for the first time for a few weeks. I think they'll just have too much for the Gold Coast Titans, especially in the middle. And Cody Walker is in absolutely superb form. I just think the Rabbitohs are going to have way too much for the Gold Coast Titans, who need a win soon if they want to stay in the hunt for the top 8. The final game on the Saturday, the Sharks, they're hosting the Broncos. These two teams, another case of who will back up from Origin. I think Nico Hines, if he's only going to get 20 to 30 minutes as a utility off the bench, we could see him play. Now, the Broncos are coming off a very impressive win considering the players they had out. I feel like Kevy might rest a few of them because it's been a big start of the season for the Broncos. They've only had the one bye. So I am going to tip the Cronulla Sharks, especially back in Sydney. The Broncos, they've had a bit of a favourable draw. This is another great test for them, especially with it being at Shark Park. But I'm going to take the Sharks to get it done in a close one. Sunday kicks off with the Roosters taking on the Doggies in Gosford. The Roosters, they are desperate for a win. I can't believe, and honestly, with the side that they've had, I can't believe how bad they've been. I thought the Roosters would start slow, but I'm surprised they've started this slow. Same with the Bulldogs. With that roster, I think that could be at least challenging for the top 8. But it's been the same story every year for the Bulldogs. Despite these new recruits, they still struggle. I think they can definitely challenge the Roosters and even get the win. This game feels like that game where Trent Barrett got his final win as Doggies head coach last year. But I'm still going to take the Roosters because I don't have the backbone to tip the Doggies. So I'm taking the Roosters, and I'm taking them to get a big win in Gosford. The middle game of our Sunday triple header sees the Melbourne Storm. They're travelling to Townsville, and I think the Cowboys have a pretty good record over the Storm compared to other teams, especially up there in North Queensland. Is this the game the Cowboys can finally bounce back? I don't think so. I like the Bulldogs. I don't have the backbone to tip them. The Cowboys, they're still struggling. They got a few good wins over the Knights and the Roosters, but I just don't have the backbone to tip him. I'm going to take the Storm. Until the Cowboys can show me something consistently, then I ain't tipping them over one of the ladder leaders. And the final game, Penrith taking on the Dragons. Even if a lot of those Penrith boys don't back up, which I don't think they will, Ivan Cleary showed last year he's found the formula for this right by now. I am going to tip the baby Penrith Panthers. The Dragons can get close. I expect Ben Hunt to back up because he is their side. And for the first little bit, I thought the Dragons were really good against the Dolphins, but they fell off so hard. So I'm going to take the Penrith Panthers to get the job done in a close one. I think the Dragons can push them. And after having such a big turnaround, the Dragons, I feel like they're going to put a lot into this game. So there it is, my round 14 tips. I'm taking the Raiders over the Tigers, the Warriors over the Dolphins, the Bunnies, they're going to beat the Titans, the Sharks to beat the Broncos, the Roosters, I'm tipping them to put a score on the Doggies, the Storm to beat the Cowboys, and Penrith to get a close win over the Dragons with a reserve grade side. But ladies and gentlemen, drop your round 14 tips down below. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you Thursday when we wrap up Origin Game 1. Friday Night Football.